November 22nd, 1963. Dallas, Texas. A single gunshot echoes through Dealey Plaza, and the world stops breathing. That moment, the assassination of President John F. Kennedy became one of the darkest, most haunting mysteries in modern history. For over 60 years, governments, journalists, and everyday citizens have asked the same question. Who really killed JFK? Because one thing's for sure, the story we were told doesn't add up. The official report says a man named Lee Harvey Oswald fired 3 shots from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. 1 bullet missed, 1 hit Governor Connally, and 1, the so-called magic bullet, killed the president. Within 48 hours, Oswald himself was shot dead by nightclub owner Jack Ruby, right on live television. And just like that, the only suspect was gone. No trial, no testimony, no truth. The Warren Commission concluded Oswald acted alone, but even back then, nobody believed that. Because how could a single man with a cheap rifle and shaky training pull off a shot so perfect, even military snipers struggled to recreate it? Something was off. Terribly off. Witnesses reported hearing shots from the grassy knoll, not the building. Several swore they saw smoke rising from behind a fence. A police officer even ran toward the area seconds after the shots and found fresh footprints and a trail of mud, as if someone had just fled. Yet none of that appeared in the official report. The government said it was confusion under stress. But you can't confuse the direction of a gunshot when it's less than 50 feet away. So maybe, just maybe, Oswald wasn't the only one pulling the trigger. Maybe he was just the patsy. Meet Jim Garrison, the only district attorney who ever dared to reopen the case. He claimed the assassination wasn't a lone gunman. It was a coordinated hit, planned by powerful men inside America's own walls. His investigation led him to Clay Shaw, a New Orleans businessman with alleged CIA connections. Garrison's theory? Kennedy was about to end the Cold War, withdraw from Vietnam, and cut the power of intelligence agencies that had grown too strong. And that made him a threat. The deeper Garrison dug, the more witnesses vanished, changed stories, or died under mysterious circumstances. One witness was found dead with a note reading, "You can't fight the system." The message was clear. Stop asking questions. Declassified documents later revealed something chilling. Lee Harvey Oswald had been on the CIA's radar long before the shooting. He had defected to the Soviet Union. He'd worked with anti-Castro groups in New Orleans. And yet somehow, this supposed nobody slipped through every security net in America. Why? Because some insiders believe Oswald was part of an intelligence operation gone wrong, or gone exactly as planned. One retired agent claimed Oswald was meant to be a false defector, used to infiltrate Soviet circles. But when JFK was killed, the agency cut all ties and let him take the fall. Now, let's talk about the Mafia. Kennedy's brother, Robert, was leading an all-out war against organized crime. And many mob bosses, especially in Chicago and New Orleans, were furious. Reports suggest that mobsters had once helped JFK win the election by securing votes in key states. But after he took power, he turned on them. So, what if they decided to turn back? Jack Ruby, the man who killed Oswald, had deep mob connections. His strip club was a known hangout for gangsters. Was Ruby silencing the fall guy before he could talk? Or was he following orders from people who wanted the case buried forever? In 1963, JFK had made enemies in places most people can't even imagine. The CIA, the Pentagon, and powerful corporations all depended on the Cold War continuing. Kennedy, however, wanted peace. He wanted to pull troops out of Vietnam, open communication with the Soviets, and dismantle parts of the intelligence network he no longer trusted. That meant billions in military contracts gone. That meant the shadow government exposed. Some historians believe the assassination was an inside job, not by one agency, but by a coalition of interests that all wanted him dead. They didn't need the whole government to agree, just a few men in the right places. When Kennedy's body was flown back to Washington, something strange happened. The official autopsy was conducted at a military hospital, not in Dallas, where the crime occurred. Doctors were ordered not to take certain photos, and when they did, some photos mysteriously disappeared. Even stranger, multiple medical staff in Dallas claimed the exit wound was at the front of Kennedy's head and meaning. The shot came from the front, not behind. That single detail destroys the entire lone gunman theory. But the report was altered, rewritten, and classified for years. Evidence manipulated. Truth rewritten. As one surgeon later said quietly, "What we saw that day is not what they showed the world." Over the years, more than 50 witnesses tied to the case died under unusual or violent circumstances. Heart attacks at 30, car crashes with no cause, suicides without notes. Coincidence? Maybe. But statistics say the odds of that happening by chance are less than 1 in 100 trillion. Some of them had claimed to see a man behind the fence. Others saw men with earpieces near the underpass. And one, a police officer, said he was ordered to stand down moments before the shooting. All of them silenced. In the 1990s, the U.S. passed the JFK Records Act, forcing the release of thousands of classified documents. But even now, thousands remain redacted or withheld. Why? If Oswald acted alone, what's there to hide? The few pages that did come out mentioned CIA operations in Cuba, mob partnerships, and a covert program called Operation Northwoods. A plan that proposed using false attacks on Americans to justify wars. That was real. Declassified. Signed. So if that was possible, what else could they have done? In 2017, more files were released, but key names and details were blacked out. Even the sitting U.S. president at the time couldn't see them all. Why would something from 1963 still be too dangerous to reveal? Because the truth might shake the very foundation of America. Maybe it wasn't about one shooter or one motive. Maybe it was about control. Control of politics. Control of war. Control of truth itself. Kennedy once said, "I want to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds." He never got the chance. Decades later, in 2022, a previously unseen memo surfaced from the archives. It hinted that Oswald had met with intelligence officers in Mexico City just weeks before the assassination. Those same officers vanished after the event. The memo ended with a single handwritten line. The subject is to be considered expendable. It wasn't a random act. It was a message. Kennedy died in front of millions, not just to remove a man, but to remind the world. No one is untouchable. And maybe that's why the truth is still hidden. Not because it's lost, but because it was never meant to be found. So now, 6 decades later, we're still left with more questions than answers. Who fired the real shots that day? How deep did the cover-up go? And will we ever truly know? Maybe someday the truth will surface. But until then, every echo of that gunfire still whispers through history, reminding us that even the most powerful man in the world can be silenced